Hey YouTubers, and welcome to my very first attempt at vlogging. I am Jelvik77. Happily married and a proud father. I've been living in Michigan for my whole 31 years of life. And because I'm a father, I'm sure most of you wouldn't understand, I might not make this a weekly thing or even a bi-weekly thing. I'm just going to go about this whenever my schedule is available. Over the years, I've grown a passion for the culture as it has become. My particular favorite franchises are Marvel and DC Comics, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, Jurassic Park, Disney, and an anime series called Steins Gate. I have a fondness for others, but those are the ones that are cream of the crop for me. Recently, I had come across an article that inspired me to speak my opinions aloud. As mentioned, one of my favorite franchises is Marvel, and the one superhero I'm a fan of is Captain America. He represents everything that is awesome about America, and he is a symbol of steadfastness and strong willingness. But overall, not a perfect soldier, but a good man. And that in turn made him a huge role model that I support. Which is why it absolutely astounds me that some would find some faults in Captain America. I can admit his faults, his actual faults, but there are some people who make it seem like it's out of character for him when he's clearly not. They come out of left field, is what I'm saying. And the biggest example comes from the director of Captain Marvel herself, Nia DaCosta, who expressed that Thanos' snap in the Infinity War was all Captain America's fault. Now, I'm quoting her from articles such as from Den of Geek, Collider, Digital Spy, and Hollywood Reporter, which is this is her reasoning. Quote, "Something I'd like to say a bit flippantly about Captain America is that the snap is all his fault, because he was trying to do the best to do the right thing. There's a world in which he's a villain because, at the end of the day, he should have just sacrificed Vision. He chose one robot's life, albeit a sentient one, over literally the entire universe. There's a sort of anti-hero in that if you want to look at it through that lens. People would say I'm crazy for thinking that way, but there's something connected to the journey of the anti-hero and the hero. The hero's pain is something that spurs them into martyr themselves. An anti-hero's pain is a thing that kind of starts the journey as opposed to ending it." Unquote. Now, let's analyze one thing before I move on from here. Someone can be at fault for trying to do the right thing? What kind of warped reality says that doing the wrong thing is a better thing to do? Captain America always chooses the right thing no matter what is thrown at him, even a godlike being like Thanos. That's the kind of stone-like attitude we should all have. When the rivers of life come at us, we should plant ourselves firmly that it doesn't move us. But beyond that, DaCosta's claim is very similar to how everyone claims Maisie is at fault for letting the dinosaurs loose in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Here's the thing. It's not just one person's fault, you guys. It's everyone's. Both Cap and Maisie did a right and risky move in their respective worlds, while everyone else had their hand in the outcomes. Even if Cap has even the vaguest of share of blame for the snap, especially since it's in character for him to shelve saving his friends above beating the bad guys, you know? I mean, I don't know about you, but I would I would focus more on saving my friends rather than beating the bad guys. Because evil will always come tomorrow, while your friends might not. But anyways, let's not forget that there were other Avengers who had bigger pieces of the pie that doesn't even compare to Captain America. First, Tony Stark. I mean, think about it. If it wasn't for his support of the Sokovia Accords, the Avengers wouldn't have broken apart before Thanos made his move, and they would have a better chance of stopping him from there. And to me, he gets the biggest blame since most of the problems in the Infinity Saga were generally caused by him as much as he tries to fix them. Ultron was the icing on the cake. Then there's Doctor Strange. Even as he saw only one future where Thanos' plan was thwarted, before he and Tony traveled to Titan on the Flying Donut, Tony urged Doctor Strange to stay back and take the Time Stone away from New York when Amity Mall landed. But since Strange is arrogant and didn't like Tony much, he refused to listen. And let's not forget Wanda either. She had the power to destroy Vision's Mind Stone way before they traveled to Wakanda. But she couldn't bring herself to do it since she loves him, especially after her brother Pietro dies and Vision is all she had left. Which kind of makes her in the same vein of the argument that DaCosta had made, doesn't it? I mean, Wanda wasn't willing to sacrifice Vision either, so why is Cap the only one being to blame for the same thing? Feminism. Anyways. Now, who's next in the list? Oh yeah, Thor. What about Thor? At the moment he throws the mighty axe Stormbreaker into Thanos' chest rather than, even as Thanos said it, "You should have gone for the head." Thor instead wanted to relish his victory to avenge his fallen Asgardians, in particular Heimdall and Loki. And speaking of Loki, he also gets a share of the blame too, because after he went down to the weapons vault to put Surtur's crown into the eternal flame in Thor Ragnarok, he paused when he saw the Tesseract, aka the Space Stone, and took it for himself. Had he just left it there, the Space Stone would have been destroyed along with the rest of Asgard during the Ragnarok event. And oh yes, let's not. And then there's Star-Lord. I think everyone has pointed this one out. At one point when Thanos was pinned down long enough for Iron Man and Spider-Man to yank the gauntlets off his hand, Quill let his emotions take the wheel and beat Thanos over and over until Mantis lost her grip on Thanos, and he burst out of his temporary state. Yes, Gamora's death was hard on him, but Quill still could have vented his anger elsewhere. But, of course, Gamora didn't have to die, since she was the one who got the idea to meet Thanos hand-on instead of running the opposite direction. Sure, the priority was to keep Thanos from collecting the stones as much as possible, but it didn't mean she had to come along. She was the only one with the knowledge as to where the Soul Stone was, and begged Star-Lord to kill her if she was caught. I guess Rocket wasn't wrong calling her group the Morons. And Vision. Yes, Vision himself has a blame in all this too. As demonstrated in the What If series, he was able to pluck the Mind Stone out of his head himself. On top of that, in another alternate world, Ultron was within Vision's body and was able to use the Mind Stone's beam to kill Thanos, even while he has the other 5 Infinity Stones on the gauntlet. And lastly, there's the one entity that has been letting all these events happen. If you want to discount all these other characters, Kane and the TVA. Yeah, Thanos was only allowed to collect the Infinity Stones and wipe out half the universe because it was deemed by Kane and maintained by the TVA in order to keep the sacred timeline. So, yeah. I could list more, but those are the characters who have the bigger blame for the snap than Captain America. Even as I mentioned before that I think Tony Stark has the biggest blame, I don't necessarily discount all the others for their blame. Everyone has something to be blamed for in the MCU, just as everyone had a blame in the Jurassic Park universe for releasing the dinosaurs to the world. I've grown to accept the concept of the butterfly effect as it was demonstrated to me by Steins Gate. Every choice every character had resulted in converging consequences, whether they were good or bad, intentional or unintentional. That's what I meant. I mean, in the end, Thanos' snap was the result of numerous factors that came before, and not just one. So that's my thought on the Constant's opinion. I respect anyone's opinion, but sometimes there are just some opinions that can be very, very wrong. Now, thank you all for watching, and I hope you subscribe. And if there's anything else you'd like me to talk about, leave it in the comments below, or suggest to me on my Facebook page in the description. Until then, El Sai Kangru.